There comes a moment in every seeker's life when striving begins to feel heavy, when the endless lists of goals, affirmations, and visualizations blur into exhaustion. It is in that quiet space between effort and surrender that the true art of acting inspired begins. Acting inspired is not about chasing outcomes. It is about aligning with the subtle current that already flows toward them. It is not about demanding that the universe delivers, but about learning to move in rhythm with what it is already orchestrating on your behalf. Many people spend their days trying to make things happen, pushing with force and impatience. They confuse motion with movement, action with alignment. Yet when action arises from inspiration, when it is born from the calm certainty of connection rather than the anxiety of control, it becomes magnetic. The universe, responding to vibration rather than words, mirrors back the frequency of that calm power. In this journey, you will rediscover what it means to move with intention instead of reaction, to act from coherence instead of chaos. You will learn how inspired action bridges the invisible with the visible, how your energy precedes your effort, and how the simplest decisions can alter the architecture of your reality. This is not about doing more. It is about doing what is aligned, what feels guided, what resonates with your truest rhythm. Because when you master the art of acting inspired, the universe stops resisting and begins to respond. There is a quiet rhythm that guides all of creation, a pulse that connects the stars to the breath inside your chest. Acting inspired is not about learning how to control that rhythm. It is about learning how to feel it. Many people believe that manifestation is an external act, that the universe must be convinced or manipulated into giving them what they desire. But the truth is subtler. The universe is not an entity that needs persuasion. It is a mirror reflecting the tone of your inner song. Acting inspired means becoming aware of that song and allowing your choices to harmonize with it, rather than trying to shout over it. When you act from inspiration, you are not forcing life to move. You are joining its movement. This form of action carries a grace that effort alone cannot replicate. You can recognize inspired action by the sense of lightness it brings. Even when it requires focus and discipline, there is a current of ease beneath it, an unspoken certainty that you are being guided. This is the opposite of acting out of fear or desperation. When your mind rushes to fix, control, or prove something, the vibration that reaches the universe is resistance disguised as ambition. But when you move because something within you has quietly declared, "It is time," then you are no longer the doer. You become the channel through which creation flows. The most profound acts of manifestation are rarely loud. They unfold in stillness, in the pause between one breath and the next. You may find that the most significant step toward your dream is not a dramatic leap, but a subtle decision made in alignment with your truth. This is why the journey of acting inspired begins not with a plan, but with awareness. Awareness of your energy, your motives, and the subtle sensations that whisper whether you are moving from love or fear. In those quiet recognitions, destiny begins to take shape. Many resist this simplicity because the human mind has been conditioned to equate effort with worth. We are taught that the harder we push, the more we deserve. Yet, manifestation is not earned through struggle. It is received through resonance. Acting inspired is not about proving yourself to the universe. It is about remembering that you are already part of it. The tree does not strain to grow. It simply aligns with the light. The same law applies to you. Your role is not to demand growth, but to remove what obstructs your natural unfolding. When you begin to live in this state of inner attunement, opportunities appear with a synchronicity that defies logic. You think of a person, and they call. You feel drawn to a place, and there you meet the connection that changes everything. These are not coincidences. They are the natural language of an aligned universe. Acting inspired is the conversation between your inner being and this cosmic intelligence. The more you listen, the more fluent you become in the dialect of signs, intuition, and timing. Still, inspiration must be grounded in action. Too many seekers confuse inspiration with passivity, believing that alignment means waiting indefinitely for the perfect sign. But the universe cannot steer a parked vehicle. When a whisper of intuition arises, make the call, write the letter, take the walk. It is an invitation to participate in your co-creation. You move not out of haste, but out of trust. The smallest step taken in faith carries more power than 1,000 taken in fear. Acting inspired also means honoring the seasons of your energy. There will be days when movement is required and others when silence is sacred. The wave of creation moves in cycles of expansion and contraction, and your body is designed to mirror that rhythm. Trying to manifest in every moment is like demanding the tide never recede. Rest is not a lack of progress. It is the recalibration that makes progress sustainable. To act inspired is to understand that pause and motion are both sacred expressions of alignment. As you cultivate this way of being, your perception of time begins to shift. You realize that what once felt like delay was simply orchestration. The universe does not operate by the clock. It operates by coherence. Everything you have ever desired already exists in potential, waiting for your vibration to match it. Inspired action accelerates that alignment because it moves you out of resistance and into resonance. Each step taken from clarity sends a signal through the field, announcing that you are ready to receive. This readiness is not intellectual. It is emotional. It is felt in the body as peace even in uncertainty. You may not know how everything will unfold, but you sense that it is unfolding. Acting inspired is living from that knowing, allowing each moment to reveal its next step. It is the art of cooperating with what is greater than you, while remembering that it is also within you. Ultimately, acting inspired is not a technique. It is a relationship. It is the love affair between your will and the will of the universe. When they move together, creation becomes effortless. The universe stops being a distant force you must please and becomes a partner you can trust. You are not here to chase manifestations. You are here to dance with them. Each breath, each decision, each gesture made in alignment is a step in that sacred choreography. And as you move with it, life stops being a series of obstacles and becomes what it was always meant to be, a living expression of inspired action. There is a space within you where the language of energy becomes clear, a place beyond reasoning where intuition replaces calculation. Acting inspired emerges from that sacred meeting between your inner awareness and the vast intelligence that animates the cosmos. To understand this is to recognize that the body, mind, and spirit are not separate instruments, but one orchestra. When they play in harmony, inspiration turns into motion with precision and beauty. Acting inspired is the process of becoming attuned to that harmony so that what you create does not come from pressure, but from presence. Inspiration is often mistaken for emotion, but it is deeper than a passing feeling of motivation. It is a current, subtle yet powerful, that flows beneath the surface of awareness. When you touch this current, clarity arises naturally. You know what to say, when to move, and what to release without the noise of doubt. The inspired individual does not rush, they respond. Their timing appears almost miraculous because they are aligned with the rhythm of unfolding life. This is why some efforts seem effortless and others feel exhausting. The difference lies not in the amount of work, but in the source of it. To act inspired, you must first learn to listen, not to the mind that constantly seeks control, but to the intelligence of the heart. The heart is not poetic metaphor. It is a field of coherence that communicates directly with the energetic fabric of reality. When your thoughts contradict your emotions, the message you send to the universe is fragmented. But when your thoughts and emotions align, your frequency stabilizes, and manifestation becomes a natural consequence. Science, spirituality, and experience converge here. Coherence between intention and emotion generates order in your reality. Imagine standing before a river. You could try to push it to flow faster, exhausting yourself against its current, or you could step into it, allowing its movement to guide you. Acting inspired is the second path, the art of surrendering without losing direction. It requires trust that the current knows where it is going. Trust is not passive. It is an active openness, a posture of receptivity that allows inspiration to emerge without distortion. You may not see the entire journey, but you sense the next step, and that step becomes enough. When you act from inspiration, resistance begins to dissolve. You no longer need to convince others or force outcomes. The universe orchestrates encounters, coincidences, and moments of clarity with a precision that no plan could replicate. People appear, opportunities unfold, and challenges soften because your vibration no longer contradicts your desire. The journey of manifestation stops being a pursuit and becomes an unfolding. However, This alignment cannot be faked. Many attempt to act as if they are inspired while still carrying fear beneath the surface. The universe does not respond to pretense, it responds to frequency. You cannot think your way into inspiration, you must feel your way into it. Feeling in this context is not sentimentality, it is sensitivity to the truth of the moment. When you are truly aligned, there is a quiet knowing that needs no reassurance. The body becomes a compass in this process. Tension is often the signal that you are moving out of alignment. Peace, even in uncertainty, is the sign that you are returning to it. The body communicates long before the mind understands. Acting inspired means cultivating the humility to listen to those subtle messages, the heaviness that warns you of resistance, the lightness that signals a yes. The universe speaks through these sensations because they are the most immediate translation of vibration into form. Every inspired act arises from stillness. This stillness is not inactivity. It is the silence from which clarity is born. Without it, your energy becomes scattered across endless tasks and intentions, none of them carrying the strength to manifest fully. With it, every gesture gains precision. Stillness allows you to move from a place of wholeness, where nothing is missing and nothing needs to be chased. From this wholeness, action becomes expression rather than compensation. You are no longer trying to fill an emptiness, but to share a fullness. Acting inspired also teaches discernment, the ability to distinguish between impulse and intuition. Impulse is reaction. It emerges from fear, urgency, or desire for validation. Intuition is guidance. It arises from calm awareness and always leads toward expansion, even when the path feels uncertain. One contracts, the other opens. The more you cultivate silence and trust, the more clearly you will sense this difference. Life begins to feel like a dialogue rather than a monologue. You speak through your choices, and the universe answers through synchronicities. In the moments when inspiration seems absent, remember that silence is not abandonment. It is incubation. The universe pauses not to deny but to align. When nothing seems to move, it often means that everything is being rearranged in the unseen. Acting inspired is knowing when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen. This dance requires patience, not as endurance but as faith in divine timing. The art of acting inspired transforms your relationship with destiny. You begin to see that manifestation is not about acquiring more, but about remembering your natural state of abundance. The universe is not withholding anything. It is simply responding to the signal you emit. When that signal becomes pure, free from fear, doubt, and attachment, manifestation becomes inevitable. Acting inspired is the process of purifying that signal through awareness, coherence, and surrender. Ultimately, this path leads you back to simplicity. Inspiration does not complicate, it clarifies. It brings your energy into alignment with your truth, dissolving the tension between what you want and who you are. In this clarity, life stops feeling like a struggle and starts to feel like participation in something vast and intelligent. Every breath becomes an act of co-creation. Every step, a confirmation that you and the universe are not separate forces negotiating outcomes, but one consciousness expressing itself through the rhythm of inspired action. There is a delicate balance between movement and stillness, between desire and surrender. To act inspired is to live within that balance, to understand that the universe is never in haste, yet everything unfolds at the exact moment it must. Time, as humans perceive it, is a line, but for the universe, it is a field. Every possibility exists simultaneously, waiting for resonance to bring it into form. When you act from inspiration, rather than impatience, you align yourself with that field, stepping into the rhythm of divine timing, where coincidence becomes inevitability. Impatience is one of the subtlest ways the ego disguises fear. It whispers that things are not happening fast enough, that you are being forgotten, that perhaps the universe has overlooked your prayers. But when you quiet that voice and turn inward, you begin to see that delay is not denial, it is preparation. The universe does not work against you. It works with precision to orchestrate outcomes that serve your expansion, not your urgency. Inspired action means trusting that unseen precision even when you cannot yet trace its pattern. It means understanding that alignment is a more powerful force than acceleration. Every act of creation, whether the blooming of a flower or the unfolding of a destiny, passes through a phase of invisibility. There is always a moment between intention and manifestation when nothing seems to happen. This is the gestation of reality. The soil does not reveal its work to the seed, yet transformation occurs in its silence. Acting inspired is remaining faithful during that silence, choosing to keep your heart open while your eyes see no proof. In that faith, the invisible begins to take form. The struggle many face is not the absence of opportunity, but the compulsion to control the unfolding. Control compresses possibility. Surrender expands it. When you attempt to dictate every step, you create tension in your energy field, narrowing the flow of outcomes. But when you relax into awareness, trusting that each moment carries its own instruction, you invite cooperation between your will and the will of the universe. This cooperation is not passive acceptance, it is conscious participation. You do not wait helplessly. You wait with readiness, listening for the impulse that feels alive, and when it arrives, you move without hesitation. There is a rhythm to inspired action, much like breathing. The inhale represents receiving guidance. The exhale represents expression through action. Many inhale endlessly, absorbing knowledge and waiting for certainty, while others exhale compulsively, acting without listening. Balance is found when both are honored. You listen deeply, then move decisively. The pause between them, the still point where intuition meets willingness, is where magic resides. To act inspired also means to embrace the mystery of timing. There will be moments when everything aligns effortlessly, and others when doors remain closed despite your clarity. The mind calls this failure, but the soul recognizes it as redirection. The universe's language is not limited to yes. Sometimes it speaks through pauses and detours. Each closed door protects you from paths that would fragment your purpose. Acting inspired is trusting those protections as much as the blessings. This relationship with timing teaches humility. It reminds you that manifestation is not the achievement of the small self, but the unfolding of the greater self. When you align with that greater self, your desires evolve. What once felt urgent loses its grip, and what truly matters becomes undeniable. You realize that acting inspired is less about reaching goals and more about becoming a vessel clear enough for divine intelligence to express itself through you. As your alignment deepens, you will notice a phenomenon. The right opportunities begin to seek you. The effort once spent chasing now transforms into presence. You are guided by intuition rather than obligation, by attraction rather than pursuit. This is not fantasy, it is physics at a higher vibration. Energy moves toward coherence, and when your inner state becomes coherent, external reality rearranges to match it. The universe does not respond to words or wishes, it responds to the frequency of your being. Consider this. When you walk in faith, time bends. Tasks complete themselves more easily, and connections appear seemingly by chance. But these are not coincidences. They are confirmations that you are synchronized with the flow of creation. Acting inspired is living from that state, not forcing outcomes, but allowing them to reveal themselves in perfect order. Every step taken in that state carries exponential impact because it harmonizes with countless unseen forces moving on your behalf. There is profound peace in realizing you no longer need to rush. You understand that the universe is never late. It simply waits for you to become a match to what you have asked for. Your role is to nurture that match, to maintain clarity even when the path curves into shadow. This is the discipline of inspiration, to hold your vibration steady in both light and uncertainty. In that steadiness, your faith becomes the compass that directs creation. In the end, acting inspired is a form of devotion, a devotion not to an outcome, but to the harmony between your will and the universal flow. It is the surrender that does not give up but gives over, allowing the greater intelligence to choreograph the dance. You move when moved, speak when spoken through, rest when the current softens. Each moment becomes an act of communion, each choice a gesture of trust. When you live in this rhythm, life ceases to feel like a battle against time. You begin to experience the profound truth that the universe has never stopped conspiring for you. Every delay, every silence, every redirection was part of a design too intricate to be forced and too loving to be rushed. Acting inspired is not only the art of movement, it is the mastery of timing, the realization that what you seek is already seeking you, and the knowing that the universe delivers not when you demand, but when you are ready to receive. There comes a moment in every journey of awakening when knowledge is no longer enough. You have read the books, repeated the affirmations, and practiced the techniques. Yet the transformation you seek does not arrive through information. It arrives through embodiment. Acting inspired is the bridge between knowing and becoming, the point where wisdom stops being theory and starts shaping your reality. To act inspired is to integrate alignment into every breath, to turn intention into rhythm, and to make your life the physical echo of your spiritual truth. Inspiration, when not grounded, becomes fleeting. It passes through the mind like light through glass, beautiful but without warmth. To anchor it, you must bring it into movement, but not every movement is aligned. Many act from restlessness, mistaking busyness for purpose, while others hesitate endlessly, fearing that a wrong step will unravel their progress. Acting inspired transcends both extremes. It is a state where intuition and execution dance as one, each decision guided by clarity, each action infused with grace. To live in this state requires presence. Presence is not merely awareness of the moment, it is full participation in it. It means engaging with your life as if each moment was sacred, because it is. When you cook, you bless the meal. When you speak, you shape energy. When you walk, the earth receives your vibration. This is not poetic fantasy. It is a conscious way of existing that acknowledges how everything is connected. Acting inspired is the art of recognizing that every gesture, however small, contributes to the collective unfolding of your destiny. You begin to see that consistency is not about repetition, it is about coherence. Each day becomes a new opportunity to confirm to the universe that your intentions are not temporary wishes, but living commitments. The energy you hold when you wake up sets the tone for the day's manifestations. That is why alignment practices, breathing, gratitude, or stillness are not rituals of superstition, but of synchronization. They tune your vibration like a musician tunes an instrument before a performance. Without that tuning, the melody of your day drifts out of harmony. Acting inspired also invites you to release the obsession with outcomes. The ego demands evidence. It wants to see results as proof that its efforts are working. But inspiration does not operate under the ego's deadlines. It moves in its own rhythm, expanding and contracting with divine intelligence. When you detach from the result, you shift from control to cooperation. You no longer act to get, you act to express. You stop performing for the universe and start creating with it. In that shift, the very outcomes you once chased begin to appear naturally, as reflections of your inner wholeness. The discipline of inspiration is gentle but firm. It asks for your consistency, but not your perfection. You will falter, everyone does. There will be days when you lose alignment, when doubt returns, and silence feels distant. Yet even these moments are part of the rhythm. Acting inspired means meeting those moments with compassion rather than judgment. Instead of forcing yourself back into alignment, you soften, breathe, and remember that your essence has never left it. Inspiration does not demand performance. It invites reconnection. In practical terms, living inspired often looks simple. It may be the quiet decision to rest when your body asks, the courage to say no when your truth demands, or the tenderness to forgive when resentment tempts you to close your heart. Each of these actions carries an energetic signature. They are proof that you are listening to life rather than imposing upon it. The universe responds not to intensity, but to authenticity, and each authentic act amplifies your connection to the field of creation. Integration also means honoring the body as part of the manifestation process. The body is the vessel through which divine inspiration becomes tangible. When you care for it, through nourishment, movement, and rest, you are not indulging vanity, but cultivating readiness. A balanced nervous system, a calm breath, and a grounded posture make you more receptive to intuitive guidance. You cannot hear inspiration in a body flooded with chaos. Stillness becomes the soil from which clarity grows. As this way of living deepens, you will notice a shift in how you experience time, relationships, and even success. Success ceases to be measured by external milestones and begins to be defined by internal resonance. You no longer ask, "Did I achieve it?" but rather, "Am I aligned with it?" Relationships become sacred mirrors rather than distractions. Time becomes a medium of trust rather than pressure. Acting inspired expands your definition of prosperity, no longer limited to wealth or recognition, but seen as the ongoing harmony between purpose and peace. The culmination of this journey is gratitude, not as a thought, but as a state of being. Gratitude transforms every moment into a doorway of abundance. It acknowledges that you are never separate from the universe's generosity, that even the pauses, the losses, and the unknowns are gifts in disguise. When you act from gratitude, you radiate sufficiency, and the universe multiplies that vibration in return. You begin to realize that life is not something happening to you, it is something happening through you. Ultimately, the art of acting inspired is not about mastering a practice, but about becoming the practice. It is living as a conduit of alignment, where your thoughts, emotions, and actions form one continuous stream of truth. When you reach this level of integration, you no longer need to seek signs from the universe. You become the sign. Your life itself becomes the message, the living proof that when inspiration meets action, heaven and earth no longer exist as opposites, but as partners in the unfolding of creation. As this journey draws to a close, what remains is not a technique to be memorized, but a frequency to be remembered. The art of acting inspired is the rediscovery of your original rhythm with the universe, a rhythm that was never lost, only forgotten beneath layers of striving, fear, and self-doubt. When you begin to move again from that sacred rhythm, life ceases to feel fragmented. Every decision becomes an extension of your intuition, every experience an opportunity for communion with the greater intelligence that guides all creation. The true essence of inspired action is surrender with awareness. It is not about waiting for miracles, but becoming the state from which miracles emerge naturally. The universe is not a distant force watching from above. It is a living consciousness that responds to coherence. Each time you choose peace over pressure, trust over control, authenticity over appearance, you send a signal through the field of existence declaring, "I am aligned." That declaration rearranges everything around you to match your frequency. Acting inspired also invites you to honor your humanity. You are not required to be perfect, only present. You will stumble, question, and even forget, but each return to awareness strengthens your alignment. This journey is not linear, it is spiral. Every moment of remembrance lifts you higher, even when it feels like starting again. What matters is not how quickly you move, but how truthfully you do. The ultimate reward of inspired action is not material manifestation, though it will come. The true gift is the peace that arises when your inner world and outer world cease to be in conflict. You begin to live as one with the universe, no longer chasing signs of magic, but embodying them. In that state, creation is effortless, time becomes your ally, and life itself turns into a living meditation, an endless dialogue between your heart and the infinite. Before you move on, take a moment to feel what this message awakened within you. Perhaps a quiet recognition, a sense that you already knew these truths but had forgotten to trust them. Acting inspired is not reserved for the gifted or the enlightened. It belongs to anyone willing to listen deeply and move with intention. Now ask yourself, are you ready to stop forcing outcomes and start living as a co-creator with the universe? Are you ready to let inspiration, not fear, become the compass of your next chapter? If these words resonated with your soul, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, to stay connected to a community that grows through awareness, peace, and purpose. And as this video fades, continue your journey by watching the next video on your screen. It will guide you deeper into the art of alignment, helping you expand your vibration and live in harmony with the universe that already conspires for you.